The simple permanent tissue is of two types: basic packing tissue and epidermis. Basic packing tissue is made of few layers of same type of cells. They are of in basic packing tissue is of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. First one, parenchyma. Parenchyma consists of relatively unspecialized cells with very thin cell walls. Parenchyma contains the living cells, means they contain same type of cytoplasm like how it is present in mesostomatic cells. And parenchyma contains loosely packed cells, means within parenchyma the cells are loosely packed so that large intercellular spaces are present in parenchyma. Parenchyma, it is present in all over the plant body, especially where green areas are present. In that areas, under that area, the parenchyma is present. Functions of the parenchyma are: parenchyma provides support and it stores food. There are some special types of parenchyma: Sclerenchyma and Parenchyma. Sclerenchyma is a type of parenchyma that contains chlorophyll in its cells. This chlorophyll containing parenchyma. This sclerenchyma carries out photosynthesis. It is present in almost all green plants. Parenchyma. The parenchyma in which large air cavities are present within its in between the cells. So, large air cavities containing parenchyma is known as Parenchyma. It provides buoyancy. Buoyancy means ability to float. So, it helps in floating. Aquatic plants need parenchyma. So, parenchyma is present in aquatic plants mostly. Collenchyma. The simple permanent tissue that contain living and elongated cells. The cells of collenchyma are irregularly thickened at the corners. Means not the entire covering area of the cell, but only at the corners the cells are thickened. Collenchyma has very little intercellular space. Means in between the cells the space is very less because of irregular thickenings of the cell wall, especially at the corners. Collenchyma is found below the epidermis and in leaf stalks, especially in leaf stalks, in branch stalks and all. Below the epidermis it is present. By being present in leaf stalks like areas, it allows easy bending without breaking in the parts like leaves and branches. Thus, collenchyma provides mechanical support and flexibility. Next, the third simple permanent tissue that is in the basic packing tissue is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is the simple permanent tissue that contain dead cells in it. The cell walls of the cells of sclerenchyma are highly thickened by a special chemical substance called lignin. Lignin is the chemical substance which is present in the cell walls of sclerenchyma. Lignin, it acts as cement and it hardens the cells. So the cell walls are highly thickened in such a way that in some cells there will not be specific lumen inside the cells because entire cell space is occupied by cell wall itself. And since the cell walls are highly thickened, no intercellular spaces are present in sclerenchymatous tissue. Sclerenchyma is found in stems around vascular bundles, veins of leaves, and in hard outer coverings of seeds and nuts. Example for sclerenchymatous tissue is husk of coconut. The functions of sclerenchyma are: it provides strength to the plant parts and it makes the plant hard and stiff. So next is epidermis. Epi means above, derma means skin. So epidermis means outer skin-like layer of plants is known as epidermis. Epidermis is made of single layer of cells. Unlike Parenchyma, Collenchyma and Sclerenchyma, epidermis is made of single layer of cells. In Parenchyma, Collenchyma, Sclerenchyma, few layers of cells are there. Okay. The cells of epidermis form a continuous layer without intercellular spaces. Why it is going to form a continuous layer, I will just explain afterwards. Epidermal cells are flat and the outer and side walls of epidermal cells are thicker than the inner walls of the epidermal cells. The entire outer surface of plant it is covered by epidermis. Epidermal cells of aerial parts they secrete a waxy and water resistant layer on their outer surface. So epidermal cells secrete waxy and water resistant layer. To which side they are secreting? The waxy and water resistant layer to their outer surface, means the surface that is exposed to the environment. Epidermis of leaves, it contains stomata. Stomata are the tiny pores in the epidermis of leaves. And these stomata are enclosed by two kidney-shaped guard cells. These stomata are enclosed by two kidney-shaped guard cells. Coming to the epidermal cells of roots. Epidermal cells of roots, they do not secrete a waxy layer because waxy layer is water resistant. If waxy layer is present, the function of the roots will be hindered. What is the function of roots? Absorption of water. So roots do not secrete, epidermal cells of roots do not secrete waxy layer, since waxy layer prevent water absorption. And epidermal cells of roots, they contain long hair-like structures which are known as root hairs. Epidermal cells of roots, they contain long hair-like structures which are known as root hairs. Some plants live in very dry habitats where there is less water available. Such habitat is known as dry habitat. Some plants live in such areas also. Plants keep losing water by means of transpiration. If plants are having very thin epidermis, then the water loss will increase. So epidermis in plants that live in very dry habitats is thicker to protect against water loss. Epidermis, it protects all parts of the plant. A waxy water resistant layer is secreted by the epidermal cells. On their outer surface. We have discussed it already. This waxy water resistant layer secreted by the epidermal cells is known as cuticle, because the waxy substance is known as cutin. Since the layer is made up of cutin, it is known as cuticle. This waxy water-resistant layer or cuticle helps in protection against water loss and in protection against mechanical injuries and in protection against invasion by parasitic fungi. This waxy water-resistant layer or cuticle, it helps in protection against three things. What are those three things? Protection against water loss, protection against mechanical injury, and protection against invasion by parasitic fungi. So since it is water resistant, water cannot easily escape. Since it is waxy, mechanical pressures can be getting skidded off. On a waxy layer, even if you push something, it will get skidded. So it protects against mechanical injury. And parasitic fungi, they cannot enter through this water resistant layer because fungi need water in order for their invasion. Since it is water resistant, water layer will not be present on that one, and invasion of parasitic fungi does not take place, or at least to some extent it can be prevented. Epidermal cells, they form a continuous layer because of their role in protection. We have already discussed about the structural points of epidermis. In that, we have discussed that the epidermal cells, they form a continuous layer without intercellular spaces. If intercellular spaces are there, through the intercellular spaces many things can enter. If they are not there, the epidermis can be continuous layer so that it can play its role of protection efficiently. Outer and side walls of epidermal cells, they are thicker than the inner walls of the epidermal cells because the outer and side walls of epidermal cells, they are facing more pressures from the environment. In order to withstand with those pressures, they must be thick enough. Whereas inner walls of the epidermal cells, as they are not facing the environment directly, they need not to face more pressure, so that they need not to have much thicker wall. So they are having thinner wall. Whereas outer and side walls of epidermal cells are thicker because they face more pressure from environment. Like all plant parts, leaves also are covered by epidermis because epidermis covers the entire surface of the plant body. So even leaves also are covered by epidermis. There are some tiny pores in leaf epidermis. The tiny pores in leaf epidermis are known as stomata. Stomata are necessary for two important purposes. First purpose is exchange of gases. Exchange of gases between plant body and environment. And second purpose is stomata are necessary for transpiration. So, leaf epidermis has stomata which are necessary for exchange of gases. Next, what is transpiration? Transpiration is the loss of water in the form of water vapor through stomata. Transpiration is the loss of water in the form of water vapor through stomata. And coming to the root epidermis. Root epidermis, it doesn't contain waxy outer layer because the function of roots is absorbing water. If waxy outer layer is there, then what it will happen? Water absorption cannot take place. And root epidermis or epidermal cells of roots, they contain long hair-like structures which are known as root hairs. These root hairs, they greatly increase the surface area for absorption of water. And you know, each root hair is made up of single cell. Each root hair is made up of single cell. Please remember this, because in many exams, competitive exams, it is asked. Root hair is made up of how many cells? It is made up of single cell. And epidermis in desert plants, it has a thick waxy coating of cutin. Epidermis in desert plants has a thick waxy coating of cutin to prevent water loss. Whatever the point which we have discussed, that epidermis in plants that live in very dry habitats is thicker to protect against water loss, it is addition to it. Epidermis in desert plants has a thick waxy coating because the waxy coating, it is water resistant. It prevents water loss. Thick waxy coating can prevent efficiently the water loss. Okay. Outer layer of fully matured branches of a tree, they are different than the outer layer of a young stem. If you take an outer layer of fully matured branch like a neem tree or mango tree or tamarind tree, any big tree you take, mature tree, you observe the outer layer. How you can see? Will you see a soft layer, outer layer? No, you will see a hard layer, hard outer covering. If you see a young stem, can you see a hard outer covering or soft outer layer? Soft outer layer. It is different. So, outer layer of fully matured branch of a tree is different than the outer layer of a young stem. It is because a strip of secondary meristem, it replaces the epidermis of the stem in a fully matured tree. As the plant becomes older and matured enough, in the place of epidermis, a strip of secondary meristem is going to come. Or a strip of secondary meristem replaces means epidermis is removed and secondary meristem is placed. That's what it is being told. A strip of secondary meristem replaces the epidermis of the stem in a fully matured tree. In a fully matured tree. Why? Why is it happening? Let us see. The cells on the outside of stem of a fully matured tree are given out by the secondary meristem. Whatever the hard cells, hard structures, you can see the hard structure in a fully matured tree branches and in the stem. And this hard structure is made up of some cells. These cells on the outside of a stem of a fully matured tree are given out by the activity of secondary meristem. The secondary meristem is also known as cambium. Regarding this, we have heard of another term, that is lateral meristem. Okay. So lateral meristem, secondary meristem, cambium, all these are synonymous to each other. The cells that are given out by secondary meristem. The cells that are given out by secondary meristem form several layer thick cork or bark of the tree. The cells that are given out by the secondary meristem, they form several layered thick cork or bark of the tree. cells of cork, they are compactly arranged. Like how epidermal cells are compactly arranged, in the same way, cells of cork, they are compactly arranged without intercellular spaces to prevent invasion by external agents. To prevent invasion by external agents. Cells of cork are compactly arranged so that there will not be any intercellular spaces. So, this compact arrangement can prevent invasion by external agents. The cells of cork, they have suberin in their cell walls. You have heard of chitin, you have heard of lignin, now you are hearing of suberin. Suberin is impervious to water, like how Cuticle is impervious or water resistant. In the same manner, suberin also is impervious to water. The cells of cork, they have suberin in their cell walls. As suberin is impervious to water and gases, this suberin makes the cork cells impervious to gases and water. Like lignin, suberin also is a chemical substance that helps in hardening or stiffening of the stem. With this, epidermis, types of basic packing tissue. In total simple permanent tissues are completed. In coming class, let us try to understand complex permanent tissues. Thank you.